Hey, I spotted online that it was National ME Day, which is also known as chronic fatigue syndrome, which is the term that I generally use. Now, disclaimer: I've never been actually clinically diagnosed with either, and in my story, you'll kind of figure out why I've not gone down that road. But I wanted to share kind of my journey with what is assumed that I have ME, chronic fatigue. So, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we went on a family holiday and it was lovely. It was for my mum's 60th. But unfortunately, she was really sick, bless her. And so I was sharing a bedroom with her and she had like a really bad flu or virus thing. I wouldn't normally allow myself to be in that close contact with someone who's kind of clearly got a bug or got a flu because I've had diabetes for 20 years and my immune system over that time has weakened. So I tend to pick up everything. Anyway, it was a family holiday. It was for her birthday. I'm not going to make a fuss about it. So I remember in the car on the way back to when we were all getting dropped off at different points. I lived in Edinburgh. My family, my brother lives in Leeds, and then my family live in Ireland. So I remember staying in the car when they were dropping me to the train station. Like, oh my god, like I didn't get sick. That is amazing. Like this is the first time ever. Oh, like maybe this is a sign that like my body's getting better or stronger or whatever. I was so chuffed. And when I got back, I eventually got sick, and I just couldn't get better. I went to my GP, and I was in a clinic that I didn't really like. But it's the NHS. You appreciate whatever you get. And so they tried antibiotics, they tried inhalers to help my chest and stuff, and um, it just wouldn't shift. And they did kind of have the mindset of, you've got an autoimmune disease, this is your life, get used to being sick. So it was kind of like, it's quite frustrating process. I did try different doctors and I got one that was really nice. But anyway, so in the time that, so it was kind of 8 months I had it before I eventually had to pack up my independent life in Edinburgh, leave my job, rent out my flat, and move home to mummy and daddy. So in that 8 months, I got tested for everything. At one point I thought it was ME or leukemia. I lost these of my legs. Sorry, not ME, MS. I lost these of my legs. Like I was actually bedridden for like I'd comatose sleep for about 20 hours a day. I just come in and out of sleep. Like I could not move. So I had a 1 bedroom apartment, so it was small, and the bedroom and the bathroom were directly across from each other. And to get to the bathroom, I would have to stop and lay down in the hall and rest. Which I'm aware getting down on the floor takes so much energy and getting up does, but I just couldn't make it to the toilet even though it was that short a distance. I couldn't cook for myself, so my nutrition was not serving me well. Um, God, just so many naps in the hall, trying to get to the sofa, the kitchen, the bathroom. Like it was horrendous. And in all of that, I was still trying to work. So I was doing a lot of trying to work from home. I did get signed out for a while. Um, but there's only kind of so long you can do that. So they just kept testing me, and my understanding, and this is my experience, as I was told, to get a diagnosis for ME or chronic fatigue is to exclude all other illnesses, and so that's a lot of tests and over a lot of time. So still trying to hold my job. When I was well enough, well, when I look back, like a superhero strength, because I'd travel like an hour to work, and then I'd have 6 hour days, and then I'd travel an hour back, and like I couldn't hold my head up. I used to have to prop myself in my work chair a certain way so I could still see my screen. I'd go and have a lie down in the toilets. Didn't care about germs, just I needed to lie down, and it was it was like, it's beyond explainable of the fatigue. Like it's not just tiredness, it's like your body doesn't function. So I had to give up eating solid food because chewing and the digestion process was far more energy than my body had in it. So that's where I started making my concoctions, my smoothies and stuff like that. um yeah, like, it's just really hard to explain how unnatural it all is. I was in severe pain a lot of the time. Like, there's a lot of pain that goes with it. Um, I had like just awful coldness in my bones. Like, I could not get warm. Like, could not get warm. Um, and so you're doing all this not knowing what it is, kind of worried it's something major serious. You're trying to hold down your job because how do you explain? There's no diagnosis. You know, all you're doing is getting told you don't have this and you don't have that. And you kind of are kind of thinking, this must be me. I must be doing something. Is it in my head? Or, you know, I mean, depression is an invisible illness, and I already had that. I really did not want another invisible illness because you really have to battle against, is this real or did I create it? And I just was so ashamed that, you know, I had another kind of illness that made me have to stop living normal life. Um, but yet it wasn't classified as an illness because they didn't know what it was. It wasn't, you know. So after about 8 months of that, I had decided already that to get better, whatever it was, that I needed to give up independent grown-up adult life. I needed to move back to my mommy and daddy so that they could, well, so that effectively my mother could care for me when I'm not well enough to cook, that she would have to cook for me, which as a grown woman, that is a difficult thing because my father is disabled, so we already, you know, she's already caring for someone else. um so yeah, so I God bless me, like, I did what I needed in the house. I stand indoors and everything, like in the middle of like chronic fatigue flare-ups. But you know, there's such, you just put it on yourself that you should be able to. So I got the house ready to rent out, signed a 3-year lease on renting that out. Threw out, I'd say, 75% of my possessions because, you know, flying Ryanair, you can't just take all your stuff home. And to be honest, I didn't have the energy to care, and I've no regrets now. I don't miss any of the stuff. So yeah, so I moved home, kind of did it over about 3 trips, which in itself was pretty exhausting. And I I'd quit my job. By then, I'd already negotiated 3 months garden leave before they finished paying me because I'd worked for them for a long time. Again, if I wasn't so sick, I probably would have negotiated 6 months garden leave. I did really kind of deserve that. But anyway, I got what I had asked for. There was no arguments, and I was lucky I had money coming in because I knew it would take me about 3 months to get everything organized to be able to move home. So yeah, so I moved home, and my just before I moved home, the GP, I went to another GP and he was really nice, and he was like, okay, look, we've done every other test, so you most likely have ME, chronic fatigue. We have to send you to a specialist and then they'll give you an official diagnosis. And I said to him, well, you know, that's all, I appreciate that, like, but I've done 8 months trying to live with this. I kind of don't feel like I can do this on my own anymore, live independently. And I said, my understanding from the research I've done is that once I get an official diagnosis, there's not really medications or anything. It really is push for lifestyle change and to kind of try and rebuild yourself. And he said, yeah, generally it's to do with lifestyle change, and then they do like you know, they ease you back, so kind of strip it all back and then focus on your nutrition and resting and stuff, and then ease back into trying to test your body, and if it's recovered or if you can get to a stage of being able to do more than you originally could. And so I was like, okay, look, do you know, like I really appreciate it, but like I'm not sticking around to just get a diagnosis for something that I'm pretty sure I have, and that I know the solution for me feels like it's about stopping everything and then building myself back up. And he's like, yeah, fair enough. So I moved home to mommy and daddy before I got like a diagnosis. And to be honest with you, my medical files have enough diagnosis in them that like insurance companies already won't touch me. Like I really didn't feel a need to get classified with another long-term disability. Um so yes, I moved home to mommy and daddy, and for me that was the right decision. So like there's still bedridden days, and the pain of my nephew wanting to play with me when I couldn't physically play and he couldn't understand, like, would just break my heart and make me cry, because I physically couldn't wake up properly some days, and he'd be like shaking me going, Auntie Louise, what can we play, can we play. And so like in the time I've been home, he's learned that, and he'll say to me like, is this a sit down play day, Auntie Louise? Because there's some days I'm not well enough to run around the way we do on my good days. Um, and so I'll say, it is for now. It is for now, Thomas. Like I remember Halloween, I wanted to save my energy for going around trick or treating with him. So like when he was around that day, he's like, "Is this a sit down play day, Auntie Louise?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it is, and it might even be me going to bed to have some sleeps because I really want to be able to do your trick or treating with you, and I don't have enough energy in my body just yet to do that." And so Emmy very much is that, like, you no longer waste your time because you don't have an abundance of time. So when I first got back, I would be sick for well, I would be well for 2 days out of every month. And that was a big improvement to feel well at all, like to have 2 days of just where my brain could just be free. It wasn't clogged. My body wasn't completely exhausted. I didn't have to constantly check in and analyze what should I be doing, what would be best. It's a very full-on illness. It really is. And it's hard. It's hard to not lose yourself, your personality, because there is so little energy that you don't get to think freely. You really, at that point, don't get to think that you're going to have a future, not in the way that you used to think you would. Um, there's no normal life, there really isn't. There's days where I couldn't watch TV because the light and the overstimulation was just far too extreme. And so I'd have to lie in a dark room, and at most I could maybe listen to an audiobook. And I still get those days. There is still some of those days where, like, because I did the 8 hours Zoom call with college on Sunday, like my hearing is just super sensitive, but super sensitive, it's supersonic, and so it's like everything is just really, really extreme loud. And it is hard because I get like, it's just painful. It's just painful. Um, and so, the focus goes on, okay, look, obviously something's getting depleted. How do I build that back up and get myself past this stage? So, to say, when it first started off, it was like I'd have 2 days, 1 or 2 days a month that I was well, and that felt like such a luxury. And in my choice to move home and my kind of plan of action for recovery has worked. So now I generally have maybe 1 or 2 sick days a month. And actually, at the moment, touch wood, I get maybe only half a day. When it comes, it literally doesn't even take a whole day or a whole couple of days. But I couldn't walk unaided some days. Just the emotional distress of having lost everything at the age of, what was it, 35, 36, and having to start again. But like, I've had depression for many years, so starting again and rebuilding and new avenues and trying is something that is kind of drilled into me, or it's part of how I work as a person. So since I've been back, just it's kind of 2.5 years now, I've trained as a yoga teacher in Bali. That was not to be a yoga teacher per se, but just I booked it when I first moved back, and I wanted to believe that I'd be well enough a year later to go. And I was. I mean, it was hard. I had to choose between eating and napping, as I did there on Sunday. Um, to get through the classes, every break we had, coffee or lunch break, I would have to run back to I had a room on site, so I was able to go back there and sleep when everyone else was kind of socializing and eating. And I had like a shop down the road that did me chop fruit, that chopped up fruit for me that I buy from them, and then another shop that did I was able to design my own smoothies, and so I did that, and so I would have those when we were having class, and that worked well. I think I only managed to go out in the month I was there like once for dinner with the people that was in my group. So you feel very antisocial and you feel very disabled. But I did it, and I got my certificate, and it was a wonderful experience. I've also retrained. So in leaving my career, I'd actually wanted to quit like for 6 years before I got this sickness, and part of me thinks that in not honoring that lifestyle that wasn't true to who I am, that my body actually forced me to kaput. And so I've retrained to be a mental wellbeing and health coach, which I love, and it's what I've always wanted to do. Back when I wanted to do it, there wasn't really courses and stuff though, so I was delighted to find one in Ireland. And again, um, I I did that, and there was some days when I'd have two chairs, one under my arm to prop me up, because again the classes were full day classes. Um, but I think that was only once or twice in the time that I was studying, which is really good, because it was like just on the weekends. It wasn't kind of all week or anything. And I've done my first aid training for mental health, and yeah, I've done loads. So I've got to a point where I can kind of rely on my health now. She says with a massive cold sore, having only got out of bed at 11:30. But for me, the trick is to build a life where I don't feel disabled every day. And I have achieved that, and so every day I'm not reminded of what I can't do. I'm only just connected to what I can do, which is mentally is an awful lot. I've a great brain, and I found ways now to be able to create a business and support people who are in the world like me, have struggled at times or have hardships. And I feel so thankful. So I'm very clear that I do have a future, and I'm very clear that I'll be able to make some semblance of that happen. There is realities like the home I plan to build will be built, and these, with kind of disability in mind, because I don't know how, between diabetes and chronic fatigue, I don't know how long my legs are going to work, or the difficulty in movement and stuff like that. As I said, my father is disabled. He's missing a leg, and he has a lot of other complications that come. So I'm just aware that when I build my house, I'm going to build it so that I'm prepared for whatever the future holds physically for me. Yeah. So, but it's just good. It's like, I know a lot of people haven't had the option that I have, which is to just pack up their life and run home and be cared for, and I'm very thankful I had that option. I knew it would work. I really believed it would work, and although it's been slower than I would have originally thought, it has worked for me. And I'm now, as I say, building a life that honors who I am, the restrictions I have, but still allows me to live fully and wholly in a way that makes me feel I am, living my true life. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to make people aware of really how hard ME is, There are people that are still bedridden full time who have to wear eye masks, like sleep masks, all the time, who have to have noise cancelling headphones on, even in a silent room. Like, it is a tremendously evil illness. And the fact that there is just so little understood about it, even in the medical side of stuff, that there is no kind of, with my diabetes, we figured out what tablets work and how much tablets I take. With my depression, again, I'm on meds, and when things get really hard, we up them and then we go to talking therapy. But maybe it's because I never clearly got diagnosed and sent to specialists. But with ME, there's not really take this medication. We know some combo of it's going to work. And here's talking therapy, or here's, physio or whatever. Because it affects everyone so differently. So I'm so thankful to be far away from my worst days. But again, I never assume they're completely gone. So in building my business, like the financial viability side of it, I've actually created my business so that it's based on when I'm sickest, because I know that I get 3 hours good cognitive function when I'm sick. And so for me, I will never have more than 2 or 3 clients each day. And I actually don't client work, I don't do every day. I'm trying to do it only 3 or 4 days a week. And so I know that if I ever get sicker, I can still fully commit to my clients and it doesn't impact on them. What happens is I sleep when I'm literally not working, and that's my choice because I love what I do. And so all of my energy, 100% of my energy on a sick day goes to my clients, and then on good days it goes to them and to me. And it's lovely. It works that way. It means I don't have to be afraid of getting sick and losing everything again. Like, I've built it in a very cautious way. And I want to, even with illness, be relied upon and be dependable for those that do invest in my service. So I never assume it's completely gone, but I have learned how to build a really good quality life with the awareness that it's there. Just like my diabetes will always be there and my depression will always be there. My life allows me to balance those and to give time and honor to what they need. But it also now really does allow me to flourish and to be a whole human, and to live in what feels like an abundant way. So just do be aware of your health. Don't take it for granted. Be so grateful. Be so grateful for whatever good health you do have. Don't be like I did. Like, don't wait for it to be gone before you appreciate what your body's capable for. Before I got sick, I was doing CrossFit like kind of 4 to 6 days a week. Loved it, like absolutely loved it. Now my kind of goals, my physical goals are like 20 air squats and 2,000 steps, and it's just as huge. Like, on the whole, like, oh my god, I don't really do cardio anymore. It's not good for me. It doesn't replenish, like, my body doesn't replenish from it. So I do weightlifting when I'm well. And then, since I can't go to the gym at the moment, I'm finding other little goals to set, but they are little, even though they're massive. So just be thankful. Enjoy your health while you have it. Honor it while you can. Be aware of those who really are suffering many illnesses, but as I say, ME, it's quite an invisible and unknown one. It's so hard to understand and comprehend that it can be easily just dismissed as fictional or mind conceptual, and like, just don't be that rude. Like, no one wants to live that way. They really don't. So yeah, sorry, another rambling one. But if you are someone who suffers from any long-term illness and you want to reach out, get in touch. I love to hear from people who kind of have the same hurdles that I do, or understand that long-term commitment you have to make and honor when you do have illnesses or disabilities. So yeah, check out my website, slide into my emails or my DMs, and I'd love to chat to you.